Hey guys, it's Ryan with My Listing Club. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to easily clean up your My Listing website database. This video is literally for all of you out there that have ever had a WordPress site, let alone a My Listing website. Anytime that you install a plugin or a theme, the database is going to be changed. There's going to be entries added. There's going to be certain entries that do add a performance hit to your website, and those kinds of things. So even if you say to yourself, I've removed those plugins, I've removed those themes, I'm good to go. It's not always the case, which I'm going to show you today. So again, the goal here is to easily show you how to clean up your database, not only just to keep things nice and tidy and know what's in your database at all times. The other side of it is performance, which we will get into. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. I'm here on my testing site for doing these tutorials, and what I've done is just spun up a brand new website, and I've installed a bunch of plugins and themes to mimic what a lot of times that I see when people come and they hire me to what I call quote unquote rescue their projects. It's what I see quite often, and it's why I offer the free audit service. I often see plugins that aren't needed, plugins that overlap in functionality, old themes that are sitting there that don't need to be there, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you kind of like a real world, it's not a real world scenario, but it's mimicking what I've seen out there in the real world. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll stop jabbering and let's look at that. So here we are in the back end of the Kinsta dashboard, and for all of you that have been following me for the past few years, you'll know that Kinsta is my number one recommendation for WordPress sites in general, but definitely for my listing websites. It's just amazing hosting, and would love for you guys to get on the club's Kinsta plan. Just check out the website for more information, but it's really awesome. This is what you're going to see. It's just a really clean dashboard, and that is, I mentioned that because I'm going to show you how easy it is to get in to manage your database. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up our site here and drill down into it. Before we do anything else with the database, we want to do a full backup of the site, and that's like the number one recommendation, the easiest, I should say, as far as preventing yourself from causing issues that you can't recover from. So that's the easiest. If you want to go the extra mile, I recommend creating a staging site or working from your staging site. First, make these cleanup changes, verify that everything's okay with your site, and then replicate that same stuff to your live site. Okay, Kinsta makes it super easy to work in staging. You'll see up here in the top where it says live environment. If I click that drop down, you can quickly switch over to staging and create a clean staging environment at any moment. Okay, for the purposes of this video, we're just going to work in the live environment, and I'm going to run a full backup for that. We click on the backup tab here, menu item. We'll go to manual, and we see here I've already ran a baseline. So we are good to go. I have a full backup, and now it's time to go dive into the database here. So for that, we go to the info tab, info menu item in your Kinsta dashboard, and we're going to click this link, open PHP MyAdmin. And we go back to the info tab and we just grab our credentials, and that's from that same section. And just that fast, we are now looking at our database. At the very top here, we see MyListing Tutorials, and that is our database name. So if I click on that, we'll see all of our database tables. If I expand this, and then over here on the left, you'll see the same database tables, okay? Okay, so let's see where all this is coming from. Let's go to the dashboard of our MyListing website. So I've what I've done, like I said, is installed a bunch of plugins. It's a lot of plugins that I typically see. So this is, like I said, like a mimicking a real world scenario here. So I haven't done anything as far as clearing out any notifications or anything like that. This is just, you're looking at this raw like I am. I thought I'd also take this time to like give you alternatives, quickly give you alternatives to some of these plugins, or what I would tell you if you got a MyListing website audit with me. Okay, so let's jump over first to the themes. So appearance, themes. I see this quite often where a business started out with, say, like Astra, which is a non-directory theme per se. And then maybe they progressed over and they're like, okay, WooCommerce, I'm going to start a WooCommerce store. I need a little bit more than just the free Astra provides, so I'm going to just jump over to the storefront theme from WooCommerce. And that really wasn't what I wanted to do. So then I started dabbling with some directory themes. So I tried this directory starter theme, and then I moved over to this directory theme called Whoop, which I've never heard of. I just randomly installed it, but it's kind of a funny name. Yeah, and then you're like, okay, I found my listing. Like this is a great theme. This is what I want to use. And so now that's what's active on this site. We have the child theme active here. So then, Ryan says, hey, we need to remove these other themes. So let's go through here. We're going to take them out. All right, Ryan's happy with this part of it. It's only got the MyListing theme in there. We're good to go there. Let's go jump over and see what he has to say about plugins. He's going to say, wow, this is a dumpster fire waiting to happen. But I've seen way worse than this even. I've seen 3 times as many plugins installed. So like I said, I'm going to quickly give you some alternatives and some ideas here, especially as they relate to how I typically work with things, on Keensta, Cloudflare, that sort of thing, using my typical stack. Admin columns is a good plugin. Let's just hypothetically say you realize you don't really need it though. Let's deactivate that. Same thing with Akismet. You realize that Clean Talk is a better plugin, which I recommend over Akismet. So we're going to kill that. AMP is, if you follow along with WordPress news at all, you'll find out that AMP is pretty much dead and not recommended, period. So you decide, okay, I'm going to get rid of that. BBPress, you say, okay, I don't want a forum on my website just yet. I changed my mind. We're going to deactivate that. BuddyPress, same thing. You thought it was a cool thing to have that with all, gamification or whatever it is that you wanted to do there, and then you change your mind. I don't want BuddyPress either. Contact Form 7, you realized Ryan came out with a guide to replace Contact Form 7 with Elementor Pro forms, so you want to deactivate that. Moving on down, you find out that Perf Matters, which I highly recommend for every MyListing website as a performance optimization plugin, that its heartbeat is built into it already, so we don't need this. Invisible reCAPTCHA, the same thing. Clean Talk replaces this, so I'm going to deactivate it. Jetpack should not be on any WordPress website, in my opinion. It is overly bloated software, and it's basically like getting you into Automatic's sales funnel. So I would kill that right away. Those we want. Rank Math, let's say you started with Yoast, which is down here at the bottom. You're like, okay, the MyListing developers recommend Yoast. It must be the best thing in the world. There's a gazillion installs for Yoast on the WordPress repository. It must be amazing. It's not. It's just literally not. So you change your mind, you deactivate it. You then move on to this thing called Rank Math, which is a fork of Yoast in the beginning. They're obviously different pieces of software now, but the underlying pinnings are still Yoast. There's still Yoast in there. So you're like, okay, Ryan recommends SEO Press. So let's give that a shot. So we're going to deactivate Rank Math and leave SEO Press in there. Moving on down, you thought you wanted to have an events calendar and realized that it was just too much for what you were going for. It's too much. It's too heavy of a plugin for one. You got to add too many add-ons to make it work. Kill that. You thought you wanted to have a little bit of a membership site, do a little more with user profiles to go along with BuddyPress, but you changed your mind, got rid of that. You signed up for the club's Kingsta plan and realized you don't really need backup software. It doesn't hurt to have this, but you just want to use Kingsta's backup solution, so you deactivate this. Tidio chat, Ryan, used Tidio back in the day for the club website even, but then he recommends live chat now, so you're going to move forward with that eventually. So you deactivate that. WooCommerce payments, this is one of those things that WooCommerce loves to throw in there and make you think that you absolutely have to have. It's kind of like Jetpack in that way, but you don't need it. It's not required. You can just install the Stripe plugin or the PayPal plugin or whatever. So we're going to kill that. WordFence security. I argued that you don't need a security plugin at all for any WordPress site except for maybe a lightweight 2FA, two-factor authentication plugin. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never once installed a security plugin on a website, WordPress website. And especially if you're on Kingsta and also using Cloudflare, you just don't need this. And my argument is that once they've gotten this far, it's typically too late, meaning they've reached the application layer. WordPress is the application layer. So they're pretty much in your house at that point, and oftentimes it's too late. So due to the overhead and the fact that it's just one more plugin, I just get rid of it. Okay. All right, so now we've cleaned house after Ryan has done his audit, and we want to just get rid of all of those plugins. So we are going to select all of our plugins, except for the ones we want to keep. I'm going to do one final check here, make sure. Yep, I want to get rid of all of those. So we're going to do a delete here. All right, go ahead and refresh our screen to see what we got. All right, cool. The only reason I'm not activating UiPress is because it changes the entire look of your dashboard, and which I love, by the way, but if you're not used to it, it can make this video a little harder for you to follow. So I'm going to keep that deactivated. But anyway, so your theme's great. You've got everything down to MyListing. You've got the plugins installed that you want. Everything is clean, but not so fast. And I'm going to show you why. Okay, we're going to jump back over to our database. We're just going to do a refresh here. And let's just start scrolling down here through our list of tables. We see right away BP. That stands for BuddyPress. So even though we do not have BuddyPress anywhere on our site, we have database tables for it, and a good number of them, okay? Let's keep on scrolling down here. WF. I'm going to guess that is, that's WordFence. And a lot of times what you can do is just Google. So you would just Google one of these database table names, and you're going to find out really quickly what it is. So I'm going to punch in WFLS. Oh yeah, I know for a fact that's what that is. Anyway, you can just punch these into Google, and you'll find out what it is. But this definitely is WordFence. That 2FA gives it away. Okay. There's Yoast. Yoast is in there, even though the plugin's gone. So you can see kind of like the offenders out there, the ones that don't care about cleaning up after themselves once you remove their plugin. So it's just bad practice. So what you're going to do is, and there's admin columns. We know we don't need these. So you can either check them off one by one, or you can just do a search. So BP We're going to filter all of them by that, and just do it. Even though you filtered by it, just do a real close check. You want to make sure not to delete something you need. So these are all safe to remove. Select them all, and then with this drop down, with selected, we want to drop them. Okay, and then say yes. Okay, so those are gone. Do the same thing for admin columns. Type in admin. Be really careful with the word admin. So we know we don't need the admin columns. Let's just delete this one. So click the drop button, drop link, say okay. All right, let's go back to the root of our database and start looking through again. There's 2 rank maps. Because they're sorted by name, we know that there's just 2, so we can just drop each of these. Okay, moving on down. And we start to see our WFs. So let's just do a filter for WF. Okay, so this is all of our WordFence stuff. This is super bloated software. I mean, I do not recommend, like I said, especially if you're on really solid security-minded hosting like Kinsta or others, you don't need WordFence. This is proof of what it is. All right, so with selected, drop and say yes. All right, so back at the root of our database here, let's keep on going down through here. All right, so the last one here is Yoast. So we're just going to get rid of these. All right, we'll just, I think it looks good. I don't even think we need to assume it's clean. It looks good. I think we've got rid of all of the plugin offenders that don't clean up after themselves. So we'll go with that. Okay, so the next piece is we got to dive into the WP options table, and this will be the last bit of this video. Okay, so here on the left hand side we see WP_options. Let's go into that database table. We want to change the number of rows to 500. That just gives us more to view at one time. Okay, and we're just going to scroll down through here. Let's sort the options by name. So option name, we're going to sort this column by name. And now you're really going to see the offenders that leave crap behind. So it's just like there's so many. This is all junk. BP, Buddy Press. Ultimate Member, obviously, is Ultimate Member. So you just check those off. Keep scrolling down here. Let's see. _options is good. Everything in there should be fine. So let's go down here. Transients we'll talk about here in a bit. Let's keep on going. WC Pay. I'm not sure what that is. We'll leave that for now. And here we go with the Buddy Press. Okay, moving on down. Elementor stuff we obviously want to keep. Not sure what FS is. We could look that up, but we'll just keep going. You might also see this hack file and get scared. Don't get scared. WordPress includes that in the installs. You can read up on why that is, but nothing to worry about there. Heartbeat control, we uninstalled that plugin. And then now we see all of the rank math stuff. That's Ultimate Member. Tribe is the events calendar. All right, we'll stop with deleting these. You get the idea of what you want to do here. So we'll just do these last ones there. There's Updraft. Anyway, you get the idea. You can keep on going down through here, but don't want to keep you on this video super long. Okay, so now we're just going to click this delete icon down here, menu item at the bottom. So delete, and it looks daunting, but just say yes. Okay, let's pretend now that we've cleaned up all of the plugins that are left behind, themes, whatever. If I do a quick search actually here, expand this to 500 again. We mainly, actually that's all we touched was the plugins. Let's do a search for Astra. We know that was in there. Nothing's coming up. Let's do AST, which is also Astra. All right, nothing's coming up in there. We did see another word fence in there. See if Whoop shows up. Yeah, see there's a Whoop. Delete that. Anything with the word directory, since we had that one directory theme in there. So directory. All right, not seeing it. Anyway, you get the idea. You just want to go through and clean everything out as best you can. Now, let's look at the Autoloads folder. So we could sort this column by autoload, but I find that it's really hard to visualize at that point. But I'll go ahead and show you. Let's just go ahead and sort this by autoload. Our main goal here is to remove anything that we don't need that autoloads. And what autoloads is, again, or I can't remember if I explained it or not, but anytime that you load any page on your MyListing website, if something in the database we're looking at here, so this very top one, or let's just do the site URL. Anytime any page loads on your website, this is going to fire. It's going to be looking to load itself. This is one of the reasons why I highly recommend Perf Matters. It's got a script manager function. And what it does is it basically tells you which pages this stuff should load. So it's another way to really clean up your site and only load stuff on pages it needs to load. So yeah, so I really would recommend looking at the guide and video I've done for Perf Matters as well. But here we've got everything sorted by autoload. And if we just start going down through here, we want to try to knock as many of this stuff out of our database as possible. And then what's left over, then Perf Matters Script Manager is going to see that, and then you further get rid of it on that side. So let's first over here, let's look at this first one. I'm not sure what this is off the top of my head. I could do a search. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but we could dive in. Let's just do some obvious ones. We're going to go down through here. Something that I know we don't need for sure. Here we go. Storefront. So that's the storefront theme. It's trying to autoload, even though it's not even on our site anymore. Delete. Going on down through here, please bear with me. Transients you don't need. You can get rid of literally every transient on your site. It's not going to hurt anything to get rid of those, so you can get rid of that. I'm going to circle back and show you something else with transients as well before we're done. All right, still looking for some other obvious ones here. There's a rank math one that's auto-loading, even though that's gone. Delete. Okay, you get the idea. You just go through here and again, the focus is the auto-load. You want to clean those up as much as possible. Just being super careful what you get rid of. You saw how easy it is to Google this stuff. You just double click it, right click, search by Google. Let's do one more of those. Like, all right, what is, let's say, here's Tidio. Just right click on that, double click it, right click, search on Google. What is that? All right, Tidio loading speed. We see there's actually something out there about performance. That's what we're all about here in this video, performance. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't use Tidio anymore. Let's get rid of it. Okay, so now let's assume we've cleaned up the auto load the best we can. Let's lastly look at those transients. So if we go back to our plugins and we see we have Perf Matters installed, and we go to Settings, Tools, Database. So in here, I recommend you toggle all of these on. If you're on Kinsta, do not toggle on tables. It's going to do more harm than good because Kinsta databases are already optimized, so you do more harm than good. And then put this on a schedule. Weekly typically works good. So we're going to save our changes, and we're going to click Optimize Now. Once that runs, Perf Matters is going to tell you, what all it cleaned up. So here we see it cleaned up some transients. Let's go ahead and run this again. Make sure it got everything. So it keeps removing transients. So once you go back into your database, some of those transients, if not all of them, should be cleaned out. I would recommend before you start even cleaning your database, just clean out the transients as much as possible. That way you just have less to look at here in your database, okay? So if I do a search for transients, see what's left over, not many. So it got most of them. But we see here that we've got transients that are auto-loading. So obviously, you want to get rid of those if you can. You don't want to get rid of that one. But anything that has the word transient in it. So those 4 would all be safe to get rid of. Okay? I think that's about it for this video. I hope you find it super useful, but again, the goal is get those auto loads down. Stop allowing plugins and themes or whatever, even if they are still installed on your site, stop them from making calls and trying to load every single time any page on your site is loaded. Just get those knocked down. You're really going to speed up your website significantly. Okay. Thanks again for watching. And again, consider getting on the club's Kinsta plan and checking out those plugins I recommend, and/or sign up for a free audit with me, and I'll take a look at everything for you. All right. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.